The paparazzi photograph hit social media at exactly 3:47 in the morning Istanbul time, and within 6 hours, it had been shared over 2 million times. Baris Arduc, the man millions know as the charming Alptekin Aksoy from Karalik Ask, was caught in what appeared to be an intimate embrace with a mysterious woman outside a private art gallery in Bebek. But here's what nobody's telling you. The woman in that photograph has a connection to Baris that goes back nearly 15 years, long before he became the household name that made hearts flutter across 3 continents. And what happened in the 72 hours after that photo surfaced might actually reveal the truth about what's really going on in his love life. I'm going to take you deep into this story, but I need you to understand something first. This isn't just another celebrity gossip piece. What we're looking at here is a masterclass in how modern fame, privacy, and public perception collide in ways that can completely reshape someone's narrative. Before we get to the bombshell revelation that came out just 4 days ago, we need to go back to understand the full picture. Baris Arduc hasn't been publicly linked to anyone romantically since his highly publicized relationship ended 2 years ago. For those who followed his career closely, you'll remember that period was turbulent. He withdrew from social media almost entirely, turned down 3 major television roles, and according to sources close to his inner circle, he seriously considered leaving acting altogether. The man who once charmed audiences with his effortless smile and magnetic screen presence seemed to have retreated into a shell. But something changed 6 months ago. Let me paint you a picture of what industry insiders started noticing. Baris began showing up to events with a different energy. Makeup artists who'd worked with him for years mentioned he seemed lighter, more present. His longtime manager, in an interview that most people overlooked, made an interesting comment. She said Baris had rediscovered his joy for the craft, that he was approaching work with a renewed passion she hadn't seen in years. When pressed about what caused the shift, she smiled and said something cryptic. When an artist feels supported in all aspects of life, it shows in their work. Now, keep that statement in your mind as we move forward, because it's going to matter more than you think. The art gallery photograph wasn't actually the first sighting. That's what most coverage has gotten wrong. 3 weeks before that viral image spread across the internet, a Twitter user posted a blurry video from a cafe in Arnavutköy. The video shows Baris sitting across from a woman, and they're clearly deep in conversation. What caught people's attention wasn't just that he was with someone, it was the way he was looking at her. Anyone who's watched Baris act knows he has this intense gaze he uses on screen, but this was different. This was unguarded. The video got minimal attention at the time, maybe 5,000 views, most people dismissing it as a business meeting or a catch-up with an old friend. Then came the gallery photograph, and suddenly that cafe video was being analyzed frame by frame. Here's where things get interesting, and I want you to pay close attention because this is where facts and speculation start to blur in most reporting. The woman in both the cafe video and the gallery photograph has been identified by amateur internet sleuths as Elif Denizer, a contemporary art curator based in Istanbul. She's not an actress, not a model, not someone in the entertainment industry at all. Her Instagram is private, her professional profile is minimal, and she's managed to stay almost completely out of the public eye despite running one of Istanbul's emerging gallery spaces. Now, remember when I mentioned she had a connection to Baris that goes back 15 years? This is where our story takes its first major turn. I managed to track down someone who attended the same university as both Baris and Elif. They were part of the same social circle during Baris's brief time studying before he fully committed to acting. According to this source, who agreed to speak on condition of anonymity, Elif and Baris were close friends. Not romantically involved, but genuinely close. The kind of friendship where they'd spend hours in coffee shops talking about art, life, and dreams. When Baris's career started taking off, they naturally drifted apart, as often happens when life takes people in different directions. But here's the detail that changes everything. The art gallery where that photograph was taken, the one that sparked this entire media frenzy, was hosting an exhibition of a young painter who died tragically in a car accident 5 years ago. That painter was someone both Baris and Elif knew from their university days. The exhibition was a memorial show, a celebration of his work and life. So the photograph that millions interpreted as a romantic moment was actually captured at an emotionally charged reunion between old friends, grieving someone they both cared about. Does that mean there's nothing romantic happening? Not necessarily, and this is where we need to be careful about jumping to conclusions in either direction. In the days following the photograph, Turkish entertainment media went into overdrive. Headlines ranged from the measured to the absolutely absurd. One outlet claimed Baris was secretly engaged. Another said the whole thing was a publicity stunt for an upcoming project. A particularly creative tabloid suggested Elif was actually a long-lost relative, which was quickly debunked. The noise became so loud that Baris's publicist released a statement, which is rare because Baris typically doesn't respond to speculation about his personal life. The statement was brief. Baris Arduc values his privacy and asks that people respect his personal life. He attended a memorial event for a deceased friend and colleague. He will not be commenting further on this matter. Notice what that statement does and doesn't say. It confirms he was at a memorial, which aligns with the facts about the exhibition. It doesn't confirm or deny the nature of his relationship with Elif. It's a masterful piece of PR writing because it gives just enough to satisfy basic curiosity while revealing essentially nothing. But statements from publicists are one thing. What people do after the cameras stop clicking tells a different story. A week after the gallery incident, Baris was scheduled to appear on a popular talk show to promote his new streaming series. These appearances are typically controlled environments where questions are pre-approved and topics are discussed in advance. But the host, whether genuinely curious or looking for a ratings boost, went off script. She asked Baris directly, "Is there someone special in your life right now?" I want you to imagine your Baris in that moment. Cameras are rolling live. Millions are watching. You can deflect, you can give a generic answer about focusing on work, or you can say something real. What would you do? Baris paused. The pause felt like it lasted forever, though it was probably only 3 or 4 seconds. Then he smiled, not his practiced actor smile, but something softer, and he said this: "I've learned that the things and people who bring real meaning to my life don't need to be performed for an audience. When something is genuine, protecting it matters more than proving it." The studio audience applauded, the host moved on to the next question, and that quote was clipped and shared across social media within minutes. But what does it actually tell us? Some interpreted it as confirmation that yes, there is someone, but he's choosing to keep it private. Others saw it as a philosophical statement about privacy in general, not a specific confirmation of anything. And that ambiguity, whether intentional or not, is precisely what keeps people obsessed with figuring out the truth. Let me take you deeper into what we actually know versus what we're guessing at. Fact: Baris and Elif knew each other years ago and have reconnected. Fact: they've been seen together on at least 2 occasions in the past month. Fact: Baris has been in notably better spirits according to people who work with him regularly. Fact: he's choosing not to publicly discuss his personal life in specific terms. Now here's what we don't know for certain: whether their relationship has evolved beyond friendship. Whether the timing of their reconnection and his improved mood are causally related or coincidentally aligned. Whether there might be someone else entirely in his life and Elif is simply a friend being dragged into speculation unfairly. This distinction matters enormously, and it's something most coverage completely ignores in favor of definitive narratives that make better headlines. 3 days ago, something new emerged that adds another layer to this entire situation. A film director who's worked with Baris in the past posted a series of photographs from a dinner gathering on his Instagram stories. It was clearly a professional dinner. Several people from the industry were there, and in the background of one shot, you can see Baris in conversation with someone. The angle makes it hard to tell definitively, but people immediately started claiming it was Elif. The photograph was only up for 24 hours before it disappeared from the director's stories, which of course made people even more convinced they'd spotted something significant. But here's what actually happened, and I confirmed this through someone who was at that dinner. The director took down all his stories from that evening because one of the other attendees asked him to, completely unrelated to Baris. That person was going through a professional dispute and didn't want photographs of them at social events circulating. It had nothing to do with trying to hide Baris's companion. But you see how quickly innocent actions get reinterpreted through the lens of conspiracy when people are hungry for a narrative? There's a broader question worth examining here, and it goes beyond just Baris Arduc. When did we collectively decide that public figures owe us access to their emotional lives? Baris makes his living as an actor, someone who embodies characters and tells stories that move us, make us laugh, make us think. Does that professional choice automatically mean every aspect of his reality becomes public property? I've spent 2 decades covering entertainment, interviewing hundreds of actors, directors, musicians, and artists. And I can tell you that the ones who maintain the healthiest relationship with fame are almost always the ones who establish clear boundaries between their public and private selves. They understand that they owe their audience great work, professionalism, and respect. They don't owe them a relationship status, an explanation for who they have dinner with, or a breakdown of their emotional journey. Yet the appetite for that kind of intimate access has never been stronger. Social media has created an expectation of constant availability, of continuous updates, of full transparency. When someone like Baris chooses to step back from that model, it creates a vacuum that gossip and speculation rush to fill. Let me tell you about another sighting that hasn't been widely reported yet. Last weekend, Baris was spotted at a bookstore in Sihangir, a neighborhood known for its artistic community and creative energy. He was there for over an hour, browsing mostly the art and photography sections according to the store employee I spoke with. He left with several books, and here's the interesting part. He asked the employee to recommend books about contemporary Turkish art. When she suggested a few titles, he mentioned he was trying to understand the field better because someone important to him was passionate about it. Now, we know Elif is an art curator. We know contemporary art is literally her profession. Is it a stretch to connect those dots and suggest Baris is taking an interest in her world? Not really. Does it prove they're romantically involved? Not at all. It could just as easily indicate a deep friendship where he respects her expertise and wants to engage meaningfully with something she cares about. But I'll tell you what it does suggest. Whoever is in Baris's life right now, in whatever capacity, matters enough to him that he's actively trying to expand his understanding of their passions. That's not nothing. That speaks to someone who values depth in his relationships, romantic or otherwise. Yesterday, Elif's gallery posted about an upcoming exhibition on their official Instagram. The post itself was standard, professional, focused on the artists being featured. But in the comments, dozens of people started asking about Baris, posting heart emojis, treating the gallery's professional account like it was a celebrity gossip forum. Within hours, the gallery limited comments on the post. Imagine being Elif in this scenario. You've built a career based on your knowledge, your eye for talent, your ability to create spaces where art can be experienced and appreciated. And suddenly, your professional platform is being flooded with questions about whether you're dating an actor. Through no action of your own, your identity is being reduced to your potential connection to someone famous. This is the collateral damage of celebrity speculation that rarely gets discussed. The ripple effects on people who never ask to be in the spotlight, who are just living their lives, and who suddenly find themselves at the center of a narrative they can't control. So, where does all of this leave us? What's actually happening in Baris Arduc's love life? Here's my honest assessment based on everything I've researched, everyone I've spoken to, and 20 years of watching how these stories unfold. I believe Baris has reconnected with someone from his past, either Elif or possibly someone else we haven't even seen photographed yet. I believe this connection, whether romantic or a deep friendship, has been positive for him emotionally and creatively. I believe he's made an intentional choice to protect this part of his life from public consumption. And I believe that choice deserves respect. Is there a new love story? Maybe. The evidence suggests there's definitely something meaningful happening in his personal life. But the exact nature of that something, the label we'd put on it, the confirmation people are desperate for, that's information Baris has decided belongs to him, not to us. And honestly, isn't there something refreshing about that? In an age where everything is performed, filtered, and packaged for consumption, where relationships are announced with coordinated Instagram posts and breakups are dissected in real time, there's something almost radical about someone saying, "This part of my life is mine." The truth is, we may never get the confirmation people are looking for. Baris might continue living his life, doing his work, and keeping his heart private. Or maybe 6 months from now, he'll show up to a premiere with someone on his arm and casually acknowledge what's been true all along. Or maybe what we're seeing as romance is actually a profound friendship, and the real love story happening in his life is with someone completely different who's managed to stay entirely out of frame. All of those possibilities are valid. All of them are none of our business unless he chooses to make them our business. What we can say with certainty is this: Baris Arduc seems happy. His work continues to be compelling. The people around him professionally speak about him with respect and warmth. And somewhere in his life, there's a source of joy and meaning that's helping him thrive. Maybe that's the only story we actually need. Maybe the question isn't, who is Baris Arduc dating, but rather, why do we feel entitled to know? Maybe the most interesting narrative here isn't about romance at all, but about the ongoing negotiation between public personas and private truths. If you've stuck with me through this entire deep dive, I want to thank you. I know this probably isn't the definitive answer you came here looking for. I can't show you exclusive photographs or produce a secret source confirming a relationship. What I can offer is context, nuance, and a more complete picture than the headlines provide. If you appreciate this kind of thoughtful analysis that separates fact from fiction and respects the humanity of the people we're discussing, please subscribe to this channel. Share this video with someone who loves good storytelling. And in the comments, I genuinely want to know what you think. Not just about whether Baris is dating someone, but about the bigger questions this raises. Where's the line between public interest and invasion of privacy? How do we celebrate artists without demanding they sacrifice their entire lives to our curiosity? The conversation is just beginning, and I'll be here following the story as it develops, always with respect, always with rigor, always with the understanding that behind every headline is a human being deserving of dignity. Thank you for watching.